Ayo, what is going on, you guys? Alejandro here, and welcome back to another episode of Magayon. In this episode, we're going to be building the capital. We're going to be extending it to the north by building this north-south axis road, which takes inspiration from the Champs-Élysées in Paris. A lot of French influences, especially with the urban planning design, a lot of radiating boulevards, and a lot of monuments on intersections of the boulevards or along those boulevards. There's a monument, and what we have here is the sky tree. This could be like the Eiffel Tower of the entire city, but instead of the Eiffel Tower we have the sky tree, because why not? So if you guys want to check out and how I built this, click like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a brand new episode. And yeah, we're now starting by building the north-south axis road. Now this axis road is actually a 6-lane avenue with bike lanes on the side with a green space in the middle. And I'm also doing this trick where I use a different bridge so that I have like a custom design to it. This is from the content creator pack, the bridges and piers. I think it's an expansion pack, but basically I'm using node controller to make it smaller so that it would fit in this context, and I'm using it to like clean it up a little bit. As you can see, I'm changing it into a bridge so that it would have a bit more of this curved arch style, because this time period in this lore is a little bit on the 1920s. Like, this was built during the 1910s, so they have a lot of European influences, and I'm just copying and pasting that to the other side. Another reason why I'm doing this is because the road that I'm using, the 3-lane road with the bike lane on the side, doesn't have a bridge form. It doesn't have a bridge asset for it. It's just a basic road. And also, when you use some of the elevated versions of roads or the bridge versions, their thicknesses, they're a little bit too thick, and I want to use this arch here so that we can make it so that it wouldn't be too high up in the ground, so that it would just be a little bit higher, because if we have a very steep slope with the scale of the city and everything, it just doesn't make much sense. So yeah, I'm just building in here this green road, but that's supposed to be like the central park or whatever, like the small plaza that goes along the entire thing that has this gorgeous view, but I'm gonna be changing that later on. Now we're doing filling in, which is badly needed in the city, a lot of empty spaces. So the next few episodes are going to be mostly filling in and reworking a lot of things. But here we have the government buildings. Now, I've actually started to build these in the episode that I built the capital, but I decided to redo it now because of things that I've learned. And there was a comment on that episode when I built the capital from Avatar Roku that the complex, the entire capital, should have a meaningful name. Here it is. The name should be Haring Bayan, which is the name that Bonifacio considered naming the Philippines. You can hear the whole comment right here, and I really do think that this entire place should be Haring Bayan, because I was asking you guys in the previous episode what to name the capital, because capital is derived from the Latin term city on the hill, capitol, or something like that, and Haring Bayan fits it perfectly. So this place will now be called Haring Bayan. Thank you so much, Avatar Roku, for that comment. And speaking of comment, he had another comment. Thank you so much, which is in regard to what I'm building right here. I'm building the House of Congress, or Representatives and the Senate. I'm still not quite sure, but Avatar Roku had this comment wherein the upper house of Congress would be the royals, the datus of the 3 main islands of the Philippines, while the lower Congress will be the democratically elected people, the Timawa or Kinatawan, which is like amazing. This is an amazing comment, Avatar Roku. This is very insightful, and I would like you guys, if you guys have any other suggestions for the lore of the series with the other builds that I have, I'd really love if you guys comment them down below. But the thing is, sometimes your comments gets lost in like everything, and I'm thinking of compiling all you guys' comments and all you guys' ideas on a single place. And to do that, I think the best thing to do would be to make a website, or similar to $2.20's what he's doing right now for his series Oceania and his other latest series. He's making a map of the entire thing, the entire series, and you're able to place down like details on each build, and then it's a much cleaner way of organizing all the detail. So I'm thinking of doing that. I'm going to be sharing you guys updates later on, but for now, let's get back to the build. So I'm using procedural objects a ton recently, as you can see. What we're doing here now is we are editing, customizing the PO so that we have this like cleaner connections between the ridges of the roofs, which is how it typically should be, but it doesn't really allow that. So we're doing it custom. And this is an amazing thing if you guys want to make buildings that are not a typical square or does not fit into a grid or has a weird angle to it. This is a nice trick in doing that, but this takes a lot of time. What you're seeing here is the sped up version and the third attempt. There are many failed attempts to this, so making these videos do take a lot of time. So if you guys want to show your support to the channel and help us make more content like this one, consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Kabayanihan and get exclusive content, early access, and so much more. I'm thinking, I have this goal right now that if I reach a certain amount of patrons or something, that I would be upgrading my PC, because a lot of you guys have been commenting about the shitty quality of the frame rate while gaming, but I think that's just the nature of the game with this many assets. And yeah, I'm kind of like, I've accepted the fact that that is what it is, but the thing is, it's taking a little bit too long to do this, like to load the game, and there's been a lot of issues. I don't think the RAM is able to handle it. I only have 8 gigabytes. I actually have RAM on the way. I'm going to be ordering it, but the future plan is to have a dedicated PC for this, but we're doing it little by little, as you can see. And the next thing I'm going to be buying is a monitor so that I would be able to record at a higher resolution, especially for the cinematics, because I get this like thing here, like the texture, the like rough edges, even though I already have dynamic resolution on, which smoothens it out. Sometimes it can still slip. But if you guys want a video on how I make Cities Skylines look realistic, hit me up in the comments down below, or click like so that I know you guys really like to see that. And now what I'm doing is redoing the road system. We are now, because for the next episode I've decided that I would be taking inspiration from Makati Ortigas, and the road system here, I was not quite satisfied because there was too many large avenues, and I think that I want to mix in a little bit more of the current state of Manila rather than completely following Daniel Burnham's plan. Just making it a little bit more uniquely Magayon. So it's located along the riverbanks of Tiko River. You guys said in the video a long time ago that this should be named Tiko River because it's Tiko, but yeah, Tiko means curve, so yeah, Filipino term for curve. And I'm doing, this is like from the Bridges and Piers again, the content creator pack, and I'm using them to make this seawall right here. Now I'm going to be changing that tram road into a dedicated tram only, an LRT type of thing, and adding a dedicated bike pedestrian road at the side. First, I'm doing the opposite where the tram is closer to the buildings, but then I decided that it would be nice to have the tram on the other side. If you comment, guys, you can comment if what I'm doing is accurate. I'm really not quite sure. We don't have any trams here in the Philippines. I'm just basing this off of my head. So if you guys, what do you think? Should I place the tram closer to the buildings, or should I place it on the opposite side? And yeah, now what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning it all up, and you'll notice there that like stairway that goes into the water, and that's because I'm going to be placing a station there, a ferry station. Because we have a ferry line that goes along the entire river, and that's also why I chose this bridge here, because I want to have like a beautiful thing when you're like riding the pier or the ferry. You have this gorgeous arch here, and because we have to want to make everything beautiful. We want everything to be Magayon. I decided to elevate this road a little bit because the vehicles were just a little bit too too close to it, and some people were bumping their heads in it. Not that the game notices that, everyone just clips together, but we have to make it a little bit more realistic, even though this is a completely fictional city. Just nudging everything together so that it fits nice and smoothly. A lot of this footage you're seeing, you're not actually seeing a lot of the footage that I used, especially the filling in of those buildings right there. So I'm using a mix and match of buildings, and those are a mix of old and new ones to give the city a bit of history. And here I'm using this 8-meter wide pedestrian path just to serve as a guide on how far away the building should be from the road, because I want an 8-meter wide clearance so that they wouldn't be too close and it wouldn't be too far away from the road. I'm going to be removing them later on because the road themselves already have a pedestrian, and I don't want too many nodes in the city because you already have a lot. Like this one, we have a tram, a road, and then a quay. And in that quay, we have that station right there that I placed. There's also going to be a tram station along that. So everything in the city is connected via the entire city is connected via public transport. And then I'm just doing it also similar here with the Dutch type roads, and the roads in the city have changed quite a bit, and my subscriptions also have changed. I am cleaning up the asset list because the load time is taking a little bit too long, and I want the future of the series to be a lot more smoother than how it began. But yeah, I'm also thinking on, just look at how the traffic is moving. When doing the live play, the frame rate here is about 20 or something. It's not that bad. It's not that good as well. It's just the nature of the game as is. But I'm also thinking of starting a series alongside this one where we have a little less craziness happening, just playing the game, or maybe a little bit of a semi-vanilla type of experience, because I also want to play the game as is. So if you guys do want something like that, hit me up in the comments. So here we're also doing more of the road changing, the grid changing. I'm removing as much nodes as I possibly can, limiting the amount of nodes we have in the city. And as you can see, the buildings that I'm placing here are just a bit, they have a specific height to them. They cannot be too tall, and that has proven quite a challenge because not that many assets fit with the aesthetic that I'm going for here. Now these are more offices type of buildings, a bit more administrative, and yeah, I want to give it a bit more modernist, like more cubey design. So yeah, thankfully I was able to achieve that after so many attempts. And now what we're doing here is the parking lot. I placed a parking lot in the middle of these buildings because the city really does need parking. Even though everybody is biking, for administrative buildings, I do think that cars still are important. Or, I just want to give a parking space here. It just fit nicely between these buildings, and I just used the grass textures so that it would clean it all up. I'm going to be placing a lot of grass roofs here, but I'm not going to be filling the entire footage because it would just be like 15 minutes of me placing down green roofs. And speaking of green roofs, here I am connecting the buildings together and building this sort of lower tier, a base level, and placing grass on top of it. Those are actually Japanese entrances, Japanese station entrances, and then I'm just using them to form this like custom base thing so that it seems as if that the buildings are connected with one another. Another reason why we're placing green roofs on these buildings is to to reflect the light hitting on the roofs to make it cooler. Even though the roofs are actually already white, when you're viewing at it from above, it's just a little bit too bright and it still has some heat. And greenery, grass, also it's gonna be also important for like catching the rainwater. Let's just imagine that the structural design of these buildings were updated to fit that theme here. Now, upgrading buildings actually to have green roofs is not that like huge of a surface area as I've placed here in these buildings. They're mostly just patches, but I don't want to be bothered to be placing every single like custom planter on the top of the roof, so I decided to just make the entire roof green, or a majority of the flat surface green, which is nice because we're saving time and we are achieving the goal that we have for green roofs, and that saves us assets as well. Here we are detailing the axis road, not axis. It's the north-south alignment. I still have no name for this. I was thinking of Katimugan Avenue, which is the southern avenue, but this is actually on the north. So Hilagaang Avenue, I'm not sure. I'm sure you guys would think of an amazing name in the comments. And I decided to repaint the bike lane connection so that it would be more pronounced. And off camera, I decided to make a road diet and change and decrease the road one lane, because nobody is really ever driving here and everybody's just biking, and most of the driving would be on the highways, and the population of the city is quite low. So I decided to just make it smaller, and it would actually be safer for the bikers and pedestrians as well, because there is a buffer between them and the cars. Later on the live play, I'll show you the final result. Here we are doing the park. Now this park, or I don't know, maybe it's a plaza, I'm not sure, but I'm just using these curbs and then I'm going to be placing down trees in them. Now I didn't bother too much with the detailing because I wouldn't be going here too much, but it's still quite a central part of the city. By central, I mean it's literally at the top of the center of the capital. So I think I'd put a little bit of effort into it. So I'm placing down these planters right here and these what do you call these types of buildings? Fern. These are not ferns. These are Italian cypress trees, and I'm mixing them with varying heights and also varying types of trees. I'm mixing them with these small shady trees because in this tropical heat, especially here in the Philippines, you would want as much shade as possible. That's why people prefer living in BGC or in Makati, because they have a lot of trees, or they prefer living in the provinces rather at the core of the city, because the core of dense urban Manila, trees are quite scarce. But in Magayon, trees are everywhere. I even got carried away like early on in the series with the placement of trees, but now I'm cutting down and just being more mindful where I place them, because we have to be mindful of our actions. And here I'm just copying and pasting them to fill in more places with trees, because I was thinking maybe I should just leave the door open leave it all open and just be a huge huge plot of pavement, actually not grass. But I decided this would be this would attract a lot of heat and people wouldn't really want to be staying here too much. And also this is like an important road. It has a gorgeous view. You'd want to have a cool place for the people. You wouldn't want to have negative reviews on like social media for the buildings. But this is more of a tourist hub, especially this entire thing here. Like I am taking inspiration from Champs-Élysées, and to also combat the scorching heat of the Philippines summer and like of the future as well, which is inevitable, I decided to place down these fountains that I've been using. These are custom fountains made by me using fountain jets and this pool asset. And I'm using that here on the sides, and when I go into first person later on, you'd see how beautifully they frame the capital and also the Tokyo Skytree. And yeah, we have this like pathway here in the middle. That's where people are going to be walking on, and placing down some trees here, more like shrubs rather than trees. And I also want to extend the foliage up into the bridge itself. But the thing is, trees are clipping to the terrain. So I have this mod that allows trees and props to be props and trees. That allows trees to become props, and that allows me to place trees on whichever height that I want, and that is amazing. So as you can see, I'm just placing the trees here on top of the bridge, and it's like a green bridge. Right now, there are actual plans to make something similar to this in a lot of European cities, I guess, and I just wanted to add that there. Now, to access the green bridge, the green pedestrian park bridge type of scenario going on, I am using this procedural object. I'm using this stairs and turning them into procedural objects, and then I'm just copying and pasting them, and then I'm placing down these like stops at the center, like these base, so that people who are going up wouldn't be just going up straight on a single rise of stairs. They would have like rest areas for that. I think I should have probably placed an elevator, but an escalator, but an escalator on the outside doesn't make much sense. But yeah, it's not very friendly to the disabled, which is quite sad for this one. But I guess I might place an elevator. Let's just imagine that there is an elevator so that people who can't use stairs be able to go up there, because it's quite an amazing place to be, and the detailing that I place here is just amazing. I'm also adding in these what do you call this, railings. Up to this point, I still have no clue what these are called. We have a break right now. Christmas break is still on. Classes are gonna start on Monday. If you're watching this, I probably would be starting classes, but you never know with online classes here in the Philippines. It sucks, and yeah, we just have to live with it, sadly. And to cope with it, I'm doing Cities Skylines. I actually learn more here than what I do in school. What I learned is already what I know already. But yeah, I'm actually almost about done with the Central Plaza, the North-South Plaza. If you guys have any name suggestions for this place, hit me up in the comments down below. I'm just gonna be placing down some more benches so that people would have places to sit down, and I'm going to be placing a hedge here so that the noise of the traffic wouldn't be too distracting for the people, and also to divide the space between the park and the road. I'm going to be going into the live play, and I'm going to be showing you guys this build in a lot more detail. And welcome to the live play. This is now the finished thing. I don't think I have anything else to do here. I think I'm satisfied with the amount of detailing I've done, and here we are in first person. This is the park right here, the plaza. This is the north-south alignment, north-south axis, and we have this unobstructed view at the center of the Skytree. And if we look over to the other side, we have an unobstructed view of the capital. Now, this is one of the longest parks in the city, and also one of the narrowest ones. As you can see, it's secluded. By adding in these hedges here, we are visually separating the space from the road, and also we are separating the pedestrians from the bikers and the everyone else with the fence here, which is a network. These are just gorgeous, and this is what I was telling you guys Oh, what was that? I am gonna pretend I didn't see that. But yeah, this is what I was telling you guys. I decided to close one lane of the road so that the bikers would be safe. And also, nobody really is driving here. Yeah, it's kind of like an empty space. But there are a lot of people walking around the area, so that's kind of nice. We have here fountains on the side, which makes the space very calm, very cool, very collected. And we have here seating on the side. We have benches on the side, and they are shaded, which are this is just like perfect depending on where you are. Because if you sit here during the afternoons or in the mornings, depending on the time of day, you're gonna be like it's gonna be sunny. And yeah, let's move on a little bit further here. This is where the bridge begins. That is the slope. That's quite gorgeous. There is a car moving up. Hello. A bit of clipping, but you don't see that all the time. And this is where we elevate the level. You can go up the stairs here. And I still have to fix that issue. The clipping here, because it's still visible even though it's like covered, because this network doesn't have textures for on the below it. And okay, we're gonna go. Oh, what is this? We have trams. We have a lot of things in the city. Now this is now the bridge. As you can see, some clipping issues with the like terrain, but at least they are able to go through here. I don't think they should actually be using this, because I designed the curve, the arch, to be able to, as you can see, it's not clipping to my head. It's tall enough for people to pass through. And on this side, for the cars, it's tall enough for them to pass through. And also for the trams. Tram line going through the water. We have a station right there by the bridge, and we have another station right here on the other side of the bridge. So you can see people are waiting, patiently waiting. That's very nice. That's very good. Here we have offices. These are amazing office buildings. These are a bit more modern as we go further away from the capital. As you can see, I have demolished the buildings because I am preparing the build for Makati and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, this is now the north-south view, and this is the center of the intersections. Okay, the simulation speed is so slow. Okay, we have this angle here, right? We have this on the left and on the right. And that's because on this side, this intersecting point right here, we have a view of the palace. So the palace is right over there. So the view here must be protected at all costs. Even the trees should be trimmed so that would be visible here at all times. But yeah, let's go back to the capital, because these are the ones that we still need to work on a little bit. This is gonna be a park. This is gonna be more buildings here, and those are the two buildings. Need to detail this a little bit. And yeah, I'm going to be reworking some of these places because these just don't make much sense. But yeah, so you can see the tram goes along the entire place. It's gonna go along the entire river. It's gonna be an important connection. And we have a lot of roads in the city. The roads have completely changed on this side, on this segment, and I'm planning to change them more in the future. Nothing really is stone in Magayon. A lot of changes is happening, and I think here we might do some minor reworks maybe in the future, because the frame rate here, I mean, it's not bad. It's low, but there's tons of details, which is to be expected. We have you have a very low frame rate. It's not bad, it's just like that. And yeah, but I've changed down some settings, unsubbed to some assets, did some research, and if we move a little bit further outside, you'll see that the frame rate of the game is super smooth. And I hope that once we build like the less significant buildings in the city, we are able to maintain that level of frame rate. But yeah, that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below what you want to see next, and of course don't forget to subscribe. If you guys want to show your support to the channel and get exclusive content, early access, and so much more, become a patron on patreon.com/Calejandro. If you can't, that's okay. You can still click like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a brand new episode. This is Calejandro signing off. Bye!